day is finally behind us, but many people don't actually know where their money is going to. One America's Alex Salvi has more on what U.S. taxpayers are funding and who may actually be paying the price.
Last week, Americans sent their hard-earned tax dollars to the U.S. government for tax day, but many people don't actually know where it goes. According to the Office of Management and Budget, the U.S. collects over $26,000 from every household each year.
And I'm pleased to report to you, what you just went through is the last time you'll have to pay taxes under that old, broken system, because tax simplification and tax cuts are on the way.
The GOP tax bill hopes to alleviate Americans from the stress caused by an overbearing tax system, but doesn't address the hit to the country's deficit.
Confronted with a choice of increasing spending and cutting taxes or the reverse, it's very obvious that the vast majority of the Congress and the president usually come out in favor of what I would call loose fiscal policy, and Pete would subscribe to that 100%.
Each year, the government spends about $7,000 per household more than it brings in, adding to the overall deficit. More than a third of taxes will go to Social Security. But even that figure adds to the deficit, which currently stands at $21 trillion. Of the 74 million baby boomers, 10,000 a day file for retirement. The Urban Institute says the average couple will pay roughly $545,000 into Social Security, but takes out $616,000 in benefits.
We are going to have a $1 trillion deficit next year. Not in the worst recession since the Great Depression, but at full employment. We borrowed every single cent of that from the next generation of Americans.
That figure doesn't include benefits such as food stamps, Medicaid, and welfare. The country's anti-poverty budget costs over $6,000 per household every year. Compare this number to the $5,000 per household spent on the military annually, which has actually decreased since its height after 9/11.
When I came here in 2003, we were at balance as far as the spending was concerned, but not with the budget that was approved. And I went to the budget chairman and I said, where's our balanced budget amendment? He said, we can't balance the budget. We are at war. We've been attacked in New York and in the Pentagon and in Pennsylvania, and we have to set up TSA, and we spend all of this money.
Defense spending made up half of the federal budget in the 1960s, falling to 30% in the 1980s, and currently stands at around 15%. Decades of overspending without worrying about the consequences is starting to take a toll on the country's wallet. Interest on the national debt stands at 7%, costing the average household nearly $2,500 each year.
If interest should increase by 1%, that's $200 billion a year, and if that goes up and up, we're pretty soon collapsed in an untenable situation.
The rest of the $33,000 per household that the government spends goes towards other federal programs, with $1,000 each going to veterans and federal pensions. Most of the government's spending is already built into the budget, with only 1/3 of it being discretionary. Other expenses, such as the cost of living, increase based on figures already included in social support programs. This makes balancing the budget nearly impossible, as evidenced by an amendment proposed by House Judiciary Chairman Bob Gov't earlier this month, which was overwhelmingly rejected.
I urge all my colleagues to join me in supporting this amendment and in freeing our children and grandchildren from the burden of a crippling debt they had no hand in creating, so they can be free to chart their own futures for themselves and for their own posterity.
In short, while most Americans complain about paying taxes, they actually receive more than they put in, although it may be future generations that pay the price. Alex Salvi, One America News.
We can use your help. Call your cable provider and kindly demand that One America News is added to your lineup. Call today